And remember, Larry's a great writer. And so the idea that it was only improvised is kind of like a misnomer in a way. It was very, very heavily structured, but without dialogue. And those outlines eventually became so specific that they reached like 11, 12 pages eventually. But the dialogue would not be in it. But we knew where everybody, and this is true in a number of improv things that I've done, like Borat even, that we had to, you had to hit a certain plot point for the scene to sort of move into the next scene, so the story would be coherent. And in Borat, it was like he's going to see Pam Anderson, and we had to get somebody to say, oh, Pam Anderson's in California, and that's kind of how Curb worked also. All the plot points, which were much more intricately plotted, they were in that outline. And then there's so many great actors in Los Angeles, and Larry would actually, in the auditions, he would improvise, like we're sitting here, he would sit with whoever it was and do the scene with them. And so we just discovered so many great actors. That's how JB Smoove got hired. He came in and he improvised with Larry, and it was hilarious. I mean, he was hired, and that role really grew from what it originally had been. So it was the 6 to 11 page outline with all the beats that had to happen to make the story connect, and then finding actors who could improvise to get to those places along the way. And we used 2 cameras. Usually, there were more elaborate episodes here and there that I did. We did some in New York, and sometimes we needed more than 2 cameras, but generally speaking, we used 2 cameras. It was the cameraman had to be really on top of things. You look for cameramen who had the instinct of who was talking, so they'd be able to find, it's like that's the way we'd have to do second takes, because sometimes the cameraman would be late to get to the funny line, But otherwise, it was shot. One of the reasons that it was able to go on so long, it didn't cost any money. It was still shot, even at the end, it was shot very, very cheaply. Larry was not caring about art direction or cinematography, he just wanted to get the comedy. And so it was also fun, because you had Bob Einstein and Richard Lewis, and you had like really funny people around. And so it was a really fun set to be on, which is unlike a lot of the sets that I've been on. So that's pretty much how it was done.